talking about some good news with affirmative action, I do want to talk about something that concerns me. Um, and I'll start it with this. A lot of people don't know what a gulag is. Like, think for yourself. Like, what is a gulag? Its purpose was initially in Russia during the Cold War to essentially isolate the opposition. It was a labor camp, a slave labor camp. They would usually put it in like Siberia. You've probably seen it in movies or TV shows. But think to yourself, what kind of gulags do we have right now in America? Does that sound familiar? Like isolating political rivals so that you can cut them off? Cancel culture? That's the one that comes to my mind. When I partnered with Gulag America, I asked why their company was named Gulag America. I was kind of curious. It's a little bit of like I guess like a shocking name, you could say. And here's what they said that I thought was really interesting. They said, Gulag America is our warning, not our wish. I kind of thought about that for a second. And I realized like we haven't hit that point yet physically, but we've reached the point where having gulags in America is a serious possibility, especially when you think in metaphysical gulags, thinking about the way that the left is weaponizing speech, how they're weaponizing Hollywood, technology. Something that frustrates me is how Democrats, especially, they run on democracy, but in reality, they're using these norms to actually shut down democracy. It is a tradition in the United States to get gifts for those that you love on their birthday, but what about America's birthday? This 4th of July, I have partnered up with Gulag America, the perfect 4th of July present for your friends and family. Gulag America is an apparel company with high quality clothing and designs for the best patriots. Gulag America features clothing with classic sayings such as "Don't tread on me," as well as some of my personal favorites, which are I identify as like a father, husband, or also there's one that says I identify as a 9mm gun. Very awesome. I'm going to be donning that shirt specifically here in a couple days. But I'm very excited to be partnered with them. Right now, if you use my code JoshCar10, you will get 10% off at gulagamerica.com. It is the perfect 4th of July gift. Again, that is JoshCar10 at gulagamerica.com for great clothing, great quality, great designs. One instance that comes to my mind that I'm very passionate about is we hear them call to extend the Supreme Court even larger. They call to incarcerate a former president who is running for president. Now, again, I'm not a Trump supporter. I like Trump on some things, but you've got to understand Trump would be one of my last picks. Just full transparency, he's not my last choice. But when you have a party coming out and saying, in order to maintain democracy, we must incarcerate the opposition, that really sends off sirens in my brain. And I really hope everyone gets really amped up by that. Those are the gulags that I'm talking about. Imprisoning the opposition during an election. Another example that's really sketchy. You're seeing right now Joe Biden and Democrats are sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. And honestly, I'm going to include Republicans in that. Republicans have not done much better. Like, they really have not advocated to take, I mean, there's been a few, but the majority is advocating to send billions of dollars to Ukraine. As a reminder, Ukraine, until Russia invaded it, was never, like, it was always considered a corrupt country. For those of you who didn't hear, President Zelensky in Ukraine has just postponed their elections. They're supposed to have democratic elections to choose their president. He has just postponed them because martial law is still in effect. And here's the deal. In their constitution, if martial law is in effect, they don't have to have an election. So it is within their constitution. But when you're sending billions of dollars to a leader and he does not step down, he does not hold an election, that is really scary. And I'd be really surprised if Democrats right now are surprised that that's happening, especially when considering that Joe Biden, the leader of the Democrat Party, had a son, Hunter Biden, who had business dealings in Ukraine a few years ago. There is deep state going on. There's a lot of collusion within social media. This is just another example of what I would consider a gulag in America. The biggest example was with Twitter before Elon bought it. Sorry, I apologize. My throat is so dry. Um, for those of you who haven't heard the story, this is one of the craziest, what I would consider gulags in America recently, of trying to shut down the opposition and bolster up artificially their man. The FBI essentially reached out to Twitter before the 2020 election, and they said, "Hey, just so you know, you might see some disinformation about Joe Biden. So if you see anything that resembles disinformation, shut it down." The FBI reached out to Twitter. They said, "Okay, we'll do it." The Hunter Biden laptop story came out. It was broke by the New York Post. It was real, and Twitter censored it because of the FBI. That is sketchy stuff. And then not until after the 2020 election did we find out that these things were really true. Just another example, the DOJ chose to not release that Biden, and I believe the National Archives as well, chose to not talk about Biden and his unclassified documents until after the 2022 midterms. Think about what that means. Think about what that means in relation to Trump and what he's done, and in Gulags in America shutting down the opposition. Myself and GulagAmerica.com do not want this to happen. This is the point of the podcast. This is why our partnership exists. This is the warning, not the wish. My hope for everyone is that you will share this podcast with your friends and family so that we can weed this out. The best way to attack this head on is to have it be out in the open. Luckily, there are brave people who are disseminating this information. They're doing the real work, which is the investigative journalism. I'm simply talking about it. But talk about it. Talk about it with your friends. Share. A lot of people just don't know about it. That way we can overcome these metaphysical gulags until they become very, very real. Again, go and support my friends over at GulagAmerica.com. They are founded by veterans. They're awesome guys. They make great shirts, and me and them are committed to shutting down gulags in America. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This does conclude this episode of the Josh Carr Show. Remember, go to the link in the description below. Check out Ground News. Get 10% off at Gulag America. Buy a sweet shirt for your buddy, maybe your husband, your wife, for the 4th of July or after. They are really great shirts. I'm going to be wearing one next show, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on podcasts, subscribe. I want to make sure that you're able to see the podcast when it comes out every day. That's the only way that I can ensure that happens. Thanks, guys.